Hello everybody, welcome back. In the last episode, we have gone through the schema, and in this episode, we're gonna start building our post system, okay? The content management system. So I just made a few changes here. So and first, only thing I just made change here is one extra field which is published on, okay? So now in this episode, the actual intention is to bring up the posts in a particular order. So I wanna get all the IDs in the order they have been published, okay? So to know that, I have this thing here. So this published on indicates the date of the published one, okay? So the last update, it's not gonna matter, but the published on is gonna matter, okay? So here I have the revision ID. So this revision ID is been already explained in the previous episode. Okay, so I inserted a few data here. So these two are lastly, okay, see that, so it's indicating one post multiple parts, and this indicates a particular post, okay, it's single line, and this indicates an updation in the previous one, okay. So you could see this is the same post, but the revision of the post has been like 0 and 1, okay. So it differs like that. So in the post we have different types of posts here. Yep, so there are multiple posts created by multiple authors here. So now using the metadata here, we're gonna fetch this data based on the published order, okay. So I'll write the query and show you how it works, and we'll get into this, okay. So where one order by published on, okay. So if I click that, it's going to give me the data based on the publisher. You could see here the map ID is being reversely ordered here. So the 4, and you could see the timestamps actually here. So the latest one has been retrieved earlier, and so based on the time, okay, so the time it's been retrieved. So now uh, we have to make sure that it's been always the latest, but here it is been in the different orders. So for that we need to add a different one here. So my query will be like order by. So we are working on the field called published on. So now this published on should be the latest one, so we use the descending order, so it will all be the latest. Now the question is, what if I had like thousands of posts in my blog? So then I had to limit them based on the filtration, like some may view only 20 latest posts on the site, or some may use like 50. So I had to limit with some kind of a number, so that I'll use a limit. For now we just only had 3, so I'll say limit only 2, and offset. Okay, I'll use offset because in case the user requests for the next page, I need to set the limit will be set the same, but offset will be changing. So for now, let's say it starts from 0, okay. So offset starts from 0. If you click that, you could get the top latest 2 posts. So edit inline, and I'm going to set the offset should start with 1, okay. So let's say if offset starts with 1, it's gonna go to the next one, okay. So if I set a limit to, I mean offset to 2, so you could see only the 4th one because that's the last one, and boom, there we go. So now this is going to be our query to get all the post IDs. So not just post IDs, we're gonna need post ID along with the revision ID. So this category, it's like only things I just wanna categorize the elements in case I just want the elements which are in a particular category. So like category based filtering, I could apply it directly here. So it's a kind of thing, okay. So it's like useful for when you're applying a different filters, okay. So let's get to the coding. In the coding, I just had my routes created already, so I just created a read post, so which we are not going to use this one. So I'm going to be using like a case which is going to say get so get post, okay. So this is the API we are going to be working on, okay, the route I meant. So the first function here, I just already created a function, so which is like get off, okay. So it's gonna take a request, okay. So not dollar underscore, it's just small request, okay. Yeah, so we're gonna call this function in here, okay. So as like we did for the others, we're gonna use this. Oops, I just forgot to explain you some stuff, okay. Actually here, yeah. So in the v1 directory, I created a new directory called content, okay. So in the content, I created in another directory called post, and inside that I had index.php, okay. So index.php contains this stuff, okay. It's a class of post, and it indicates a constructor, a few methods which haven't been completed yet. So like a declaration stuff I did, and we had this thing, and we also had this set response and get response stuff here. So in actual index.php I imported that, okay, using include once, and I also just now created the route, so you could use that. So post, okay, actually just created the object for that here. So yep, so you could see the post equal to new post of $db. So I'm passing the db object for that, so it could use that. Okay, post, and I'll say get. Okay, so I'll just pass the get and response from the post get response here. Okay, so these posts are going to be retrieved here. So first thing I'm going to check here is dollar request is not much useful for now, and even the user need not to be logged in to get this thing. Okay, so it's like an open thing. Okay, so anyone can request, I mean this UI, I mean this API to continue. Okay, only thing the dollar request should contain is the actual page number. Okay, dollar request should contain, okay, it's a ESET. Okay, set of dollar request, okay, should contain the page number. Okay, the first thing is the page number. So let's say it's the like offset. Okay, so since we are using, okay, so it is going to be easy for the query. So if not is set of offset, I'll just do something else, something here. Okay, or so in other case not is set of dollar request of limit. Okay, so for example, sometimes the user may be requesting 50 posts, or some users may be requesting 20 posts. It generally depends on person's internet or his own requirement, so I doesn't want to limit that to my API, so I'm using these two numbers. So user can send both offset and limit. Offset indicates the starting number, so thing, so, and the limit. So in case these are not sent initially, oops, I'm sorry, I'll set the limit to 0 and offset to 0. Okay, so both are set to 0. In case the offset is set, okay, I'll just make sure there is a optional, so it will be easier to operate on them. So I'll set my offset to that thing. Okay, dollar offset is equal to 0, not 0 actually, so it's this one. Now similarly for each set of this limit, dollar limit equal to dollar request of limit. Okay, I was checking the errors of this kind of an error. That's okay, no problem. So now I'm just gonna send a query directly. So we have been involving lots of stuff. So we doesn't had any kind of a method to do that. So I'll use my query method directly here. So which is gonna help me to get the response. Okay. So let me make the query here itself. Dollar query. Okay. So I'll copy this from here. Yeah, so offset should be replaced with my dollar offset, and limit should be replaced with my limit. Okay, the limit variable I meant. So in the semicolon. Now we're gonna use the db, so dollar $db, to send the stuff so that I'll get the response. Okay, so I'll use dollar result equal to dollar $db. Okay, it's not dollars actually, it's this because it's an object of this class, and query of dollar query. Okay, so we just already handled that, so I'm just gonna use this handling stuff from that, the previous ones. Yep. So we got this handling stuff here, and even if the length is something else not good, we had also that cleared up. Yep. So yeah, if there is a query error, I'll set the query error and I will return. So if there is no query error, guys, so we had something or that. Okay, so post, so there is no code actually, so what I'm gonna do is just send a simple empty array uh, to the client side. So this is still a 200, it's not a problem of that. Okay, so if I met the actual the queries, okay, so I meant only to get the entire stuff, so I just only send this entire array to the client. Okay, so it's not a big deal here, so if it doesn't need to check, actually it's not actually required, so I'll just put that here. So instead of data, I'll say uh, we need to put that actual response, right? So I'll use a for loop here. $I equals 0 semicolon $I is less than $result of semicolon $I plus plus. Yeah. So I'll have a dollar response here, which is an array. Okay, I'll say dollar. Okay, so array underscore push of dollar result of $I. Okay, so it's gonna push the entire stuff into this dollar response. I need to insert that here. Yeah. So now I got everything into my dollar response. Okay, so in case the length is 0, so it doesn't work. So now that's actually nice. So now if you set this stuff to actual thing, and we'll go. Okay, so this offset and limit are optional, so we set our query directly. So where one order by, yeah, let's test using Postman. So I'll create a new duplicate one here. I'll say it's slash get post. Okay, so let's send we need not to edit the data right now. Yep, so I got an empty array, so that's not a good sign, right? Yep, so we made some mistake or somewhere here, that's really bad. Yep, so the limit here should be by default 20. Yep, the offset is 0, that's fine. So that's one problem. Let's send. Yep, there we go, guys. Yep, so now you could see the data is an array. If I choose the params, yep. So now you could see the data is an array which is having a JSON inside it, and JSON contains the map ID, post ID, category. So we doesn't need all this stuff to be let the user know. So only thing I know is I need the post ID, category, revision ID, and the published ID. Maybe this is the part only the user should see, and the remaining part are provided for the actual front-end user. So I'm gonna limit that by indicating the columns here. Okay, so I'm gonna manipulate this thing into columns just like that. So I'm gonna indicate post underscore ID. So it doesn't need the quotations here. So the next one I need is the category. So the next one is the revision ID. Okay, so the next one is the published on. So now that's it, and let's send the query. It should be good. Okay, there is 400. We made a terrible mistake somewhere. Oops, I think we doesn't need this parentheses here, so I just remove them and we are going to be good here. Yep, so now let's make the request. Yep, so that's good. So we got only the required part, so post ID, category, revision ID, and published on. So that's it for this episode, guys. In the next episode we're going to use this data to get the information like the content or the title and the remaining stuff. Okay, so even we could get the different revisions of this post just by doing this. Okay, so that you could user could go through like history and know what are the changes made to his content and lots of things. So we could also maintain like who has made those changes, and you could also log that, but it's gonna be a really uh, heavy history on maintaining this kind of databases. So I just, for this testing purposes, like this tutorial doesn't want to go through that big and that complex. So I'm just going through a little bit and giving you an idea how you could just do that. So if you're interested, you could go through that. Okay, so and that's it for this episode, guys, and I'll be meeting you in the next episode. You could download this template, I mean the database template, in the actual directory here, so which is under v1 and database. So here the template, so you could download that and import it, and you could also work with the code from the GitHub. So the link will be provided in the description. So make sure you just leave a like and subscribe if you haven't yet. So thank you, thanks for watching. I hope you guys learned. Bye bye.